Good morning, 5th graders. So we have a pretty short poem today, so we're going to go into the questions as well. But let's go ahead and get started on our poem. Cliff Dwelling. The canyon is heaped with stones and undergrowth. The heat that falls from the sky beats at the walls, slides and reverberates down in a wave of gray dust and white fire, choking the breath and eyes. The ponies straggle and scramble halfway up along the canyon wall. Their listless riders seldom lift a weary hand to guide their feet. Stones are loosened and clatter down to the sun-baked depths. Nothing has ever lived here. Nothing could ever live here. Two hawks, screaming and wheeling, rouse a few eyes to look aloft. Boldly poised in a shelf of the stone, tiny walls look down at us, towers with little square windows. When we plod up to them and dismounting fasten our horses, suddenly a blue-gray flock of doves bursts in a flutter of wings from the shadows. Shards of pots and shreds of straw, empty brush-roofed rooms in darkness, and the sound of water tinkling, a cloud that ticks the centuries off in silence. Let's look at the poem. Define the word weary. Use it in a sentence below. So I want you to look back at the text for the word weary, which will be a weary hand to guide their feet. The listless, so a weary hand to guide their feet. So usually there's a good amount of context clues here to define words. You can think about how the writers are feeling as they've been going up this mountain this cliff for so long. You can think about, let me see what else in here helps with that. Thinking about how they're feeling going up. The listless riders seldom lift a weary hand to guide their feet. So there seldom means like rarely. Weary kind of means like really tired, okay? So for the definition for weary, you might put something like really, really tired, and you would use it in a sentence. So an example sentence I could think of, if you want to pause and get yours first, an example sentence I could think of was after a night of restless sleep, I was weary as I watch TV or something. I don't know, but just use it in a sentence that kind of means like tired. What inference can be made about the environment the narrator is describing? Use text evidence in your answer. So you're thinking about you're thinking about the environment the narrator is describing. So they're kind of, because it says cliff right here and it says canyon, that they're describing going up a mountain. So try and think of an inference that you can make, all right? So inference, you use what you are reading and you use your background knowledge. So anything you've seen about cliffs, any kind of thing like that. So if you've seen any information, if you've read any information about cliffs, you can kind of build that with what you see here. So maybe an example could be looking at the picture and looking at the text. Boys, tiny walls, look down at us, towers with... Okay, so it doesn't say what these tiny walls are and towers with square windows, but I can make an inference about what those are, and maybe you can too. What inference can be made about the cliff dwellings used in the following lines? Shards of pots and shreds of straw, empty brush-roofed rooms in darkness. So think about what it means. I'm really looking at those words, empty. I'm looking at shards and shreds I know, and it's just kind of thinking about an inference I would be making. Something I know, so connecting what I'm reading with something I know to make an inference. I'm not going to make the inference for you, but I'll tell you what I know. I know I don't have shards of dishes in my house because if I had shards of dishes, I would probably put them somewhere else. I know that a lot of people wouldn't keep shards of old used stuff, so try and keep that in mind, and then the word empty to kind of help you with your inference. The poet describes the sound of water dripping as a clock that ticks the centuries off in silence. What do you think they mean by this? All right, thank you so much for joining me today. And I look forward to seeing you next time.